Okay, so yesterday we saw ourselves a very big slew of NHL news. And for most of this stuff, I didn't actually bring it up on the channel. The only actual story we covered from yesterday was the Michael Grabner buyout, and I suggested whether or not the Canucks would actually be able to do something with that. But one of the bigger stories that didn't involve a buyout involved an actual contract being signed. The Pittsburgh Penguins, they re-signed Tristan Jarry, goaltender, who was a restricted free agent, to a 3-year contract worth an AAV of $3.5 million. Now, this was a very interesting development because, as we have noted in the past, the Penguins had a very difficult decision to make. One that everybody was kind of speculating which way they would go, but a difficult decision nonetheless. They had two very capable, I'll say, that's the word I'm going to use, capable NHL goaltenders in Jarry and Murray, who both needed contracts. And with the Penguins being where they are economically speaking, and with the Penguins also having that goaltending situation that kind of balanced itself out over the past calendar year, let's just say, there was a big consensus belief that they would eventually end up trading Matt Murray, and that's a sad story for sure. If you told that to any Penguins fan at the end of the 2017 Cup, they would have called you crazy. Oh my goodness, we're trading away the rookie goalie who won 2 cups before his sophomore year, technically speaking? Oh no, what's gonna happen? And obviously, with hindsight, we kind of know what happened, but he was simply outplayed. Jarry was the young guy, he was a brand new guy, he was coming up from the system, and he played better than Matt Murray did, who, even though he was good before, was not as good as what he had presented to the Penguins lineup back when he was winning those back-to-back cups, back when he was decided as the guy in Pittsburgh instead of Marc-Andre Fleury. So, now that Jarry has been locked in, and Murray hasn't, there's all the more reason to believe that a Murray trade or a Murray free agent contract signing elsewhere situation is on the horizon. And we have ourselves some word as to who exactly could be one of the main contenders. Here's Bruce Garrioch from the Sun, the Ottawa Sun actually, talking about this over here on Twitter. One possible destination for Pittsburgh goalie Matt Murray could be the Chicago Blackhawks. He says that he's led to believe they have expressed some interest. Furthermore, we have Elliotte Friedman earlier yesterday on Sportsnet Headlines saying this: I think Chicago is one of the teams that is interested in Matt Murray. We'll see if it goes any further than that, but I think they're a team that has definitely considered it. Okay, so there's a team right there, the Chicago Blackhawks. This is not speculation as to who Murray could potentially go to. This is a different kind of speculation. This is one team being called out by established people in the media who are saying, yep, I think they want him. Chicago. Let's talk about Chicago. Not only is it a great musical, but Chicago also is in their own goaltending situation themselves, because Corey Crawford has been the guy who has been their net boss for the past few seasons. It's been a long time for Corey Crawford suiting up in Chicago. But he's a UFA. And he's a guy coming off of what was pretty much a miraculous recovery from not being able to play game after game after game, all the way to becoming the guy suiting up and stealing a game in the postseason in 2020's first round against the Vegas Golden Knights. Crawford is 35 years old, and he's coming off of a contract where, for 6 years, he was paid $6 million annually. Now he's in a position where he does need a new extension, he needs a new contract, but we have ourselves some reports that say that the meeting between the masses is not all too great. Here's an article over here from ChicagoSunTimes.com. It's written over here by Ben Pope. He writes about the ongoing contract negotiations between Corey Crawford and Chicago Blackhawks general manager Stan Bowman. Take a look at this. All accounts indicate that the sides, the Hawks and the Crawford camp, including Gilles Lupien, remain significantly divided in their salary demands. In his end-of-season interview in August, Crawford said that guaranteed playing time would be a higher priority to him than actual salary. And it sounds as though he's willing to take at least some reduction on his previous $6 million cap hit. But while the Hawks are eyeing a salary in the $3.5 to $4 million range, Crawford seems to be thinking more in the $4.5 to $5.5 million range. So there you have it. They're still kind of off 3.5 to 4 instead of 4.5 to 5.5. Crawford having a significantly higher high than the low of the Blackhawks demands. But of course, this is how negotiation works. This is negotiating 101. We don't know what's actually going to happen. With the Hawks situation, though, where they're in a position where they need to re-sign Kubalik. Same thing goes with Dylan Strome. They have themselves some actual cost moving that they're going to have to do. Who knows if Corey Crawford is actually going to be able to get what he wants here in terms of the monetary value. Which is why speculation has arisen even more that Corey Crawford might actually end up elsewhere. We actually had reports as well over here from Elliotte Friedman's 31 Thoughts podcast that he hears that Corey Crawford actually has interest from the Colorado Avalanche, so that is a completely separate topic here. First off, in terms of the Avalanche, they're a team that actually has been rumored to be in a ton of these goalie talks. We talked about Matt Murray actually being targeted by Colorado a few months ago, but now apparently it is Crawford. And the other way around, you have the reverse situation. It all comes full circle because apparently the Blackhawks would be interested in Matt Murray. If the Hawks are indeed interested in Murray, then you can say goodbye to Corey Crawford. He's been here since 2008. He is played 12 years in Chicago pretty much. And if this contract negotiation is not going to get done, then we will see if the Chicago Blackhawks are actually going to be able to go out there and acquire Matt Murray from the Penguins, give him a contract that is less than what Crawford was demanding for his monetary value, and then proceed with the rest of their offseason plan. We spoke about this earlier, but Tristan Jarry, the guy's getting $3.5 million a season, and he was better than Murray, straight up. In the past calendar year, as well as the playoffs, which happened a month ago, Tristan Jarry was just the better goaltender in many people's eyes. So, if he can get $3.5 million, what's Murray gonna get? I'm finding a very difficult time in me to, at the very least, think about the idea of giving him what Corey Crawford was asking for. So, that is a cost-saving move itself on the forefront if you're taking a Matt Murray and signing him to a contract instead of signing Corey Crawford to a contract. It's just, if you want to take away Matt Murray from the Penguins, what exactly are you going to give up? There's a trade that needs to be made there. Obviously, he is an RFA, so technically he does have the ability to hold out or whatever, but Murray's going to be traded. That's kind of how this whole idea goes, especially with Jarry signing that contract just yesterday. So we're going to be able to see what happens over here, whether it's a prospect or a pick or whatever. I don't really think that's what Chicago would be interested in giving up because we know they're kind of rebuilding for the future. They only kind of really made the playoffs this season because they beat Edmonton, and Edmonton was just a punching bag in the qualifying play-in round. But the Hawks might be in a position where if they have a nice quality roster forward who can help out the Penguins on the front end, then maybe that's the piece that gets sent the other way. Who knows? But as for that Corey Crawford, what exactly happens with him? He goes over in the free agency. Maybe he's picked up over there by the Colorado Avalanche and he stays as their number one. Again, we've talked about this before, but the Avalanche, according to various sources like Elliotte Friedman, etc., are going to be trying to go all in because they have one more year of Gabriel Landeskog under contract and Cale Makar on an entry-level deal. And if there's a time to win, it's before Cale Makar gets his big bucks and before you have to re-sign that Gabe Landeskog, because this team at the moment is just very stacked up front. You could say what you want about having 3 third-line centers in the rest of your center core, but at the same time, the Avalanche, they were a successful team. They made it to Game 7 in the second round of the playoffs. They just barely edged out and lost, but who knows if a goaltending change is that they need. So, hopefully, going into the next, week or two, we're going to have an actual concrete, evidential report as to what goes down, whether or not Matt Murray stays in Pittsburgh, which in my opinion is very unlikely. We've spoken about this many times in different videos. But if he is out of Pittsburgh, is it Chicago that takes him on? And the flip side of that too, if it's Chicago that gets rid of Corey Crawford, does he go to Colorado? It'd be a very interesting swappage of goaltenders. We spoke about this in the previous video as well, that goalies are going to be on the move. With the UFA market, formerly Robin Lehner, at least. He signed a contract yesterday, so he's not there anymore. But you take a look at Braden Holtby, you take a look at Jacob Markstrom, all these guys. These are big quality names in the NHL's goaltending world. And with other goalies on the move too, like Matt Murray, like potentially Frederik Andersen, it really does open up debate as to who's going to end up where, how many goalies are going to change teams, and Colorado, Pittsburgh, Chicago, these could be just 3 of those. So talk to me in the comments what you think about this whole idea here. Would you be interested in seeing Murray in Chicago and Crawford in Colorado? And if so, tell me why in the comments. And if you don't want to see that, then hey, tell me in the comments as well. I'd love to read why. I'll talk to you in the next video, but for now, I hope you enjoyed this video. So that was Rumours 99, and bye.